The world is full of urban legends, remarkable stories that spread like viruses around the planet, mutating and evolving until no one can remember which are true and which are urban legends. In this episode, Immaculate Deceptions, you'll see 3 amazing stories that happened when things were not as they first seemed. First up, Giusto Durante proves that watching too much television is bad for your health. Then David McInerney thinks he's found an easy way through college, but his plan flunks badly. And finally, the Rufinos believe they've hit gourmet gold when they find a barrel of fine brandy, but the liquor gives them a gruesome hangover. Watch all 3 stories and decide which ones are true and which ones are false. Then find out if you guessed right at the end of the show. First, it's a story we've named Put Your Hands Together. The island of Sicily, Italy, is famous for pizza, espresso, and the mafia. But now it has another claim to fame, and it's all thanks to this guy. Meet Giusto Durante.
I'm 29 years old, but when this happened, I was 9. I remember that I was in front of the TV. I was watching my favorite show, Fantastico.
But Giusto watched one episode of this show that stuck with him for the rest of his life. On March 19, 1988, Giusto is at the ER. His hands are locked together, raised up to his forehead.
Goodness, take them apart.
We got to the hospital, and the doctors thought it was a joke.
The doctor has no idea what's binding his digits and can only suggest cutting the tendons on Giusto's fingers.
It was a mess, a huge mess.
Stumped, the doctor calls for a psychologist.
I thought this thing would never be resolved because I was completely stuck.
The shrink has a shocking diagnosis.
The psychologist was telling me I was possessed, that I had a devil inside me. He made me more afraid than anything.
I would like to do an experiment.
Just hours earlier, Giusto is watching his favorite show, Fantastico.
Every Saturday at my house, we used to watch Fantastico.
The studio audience?
Like millions of Italians, Giusto watches famous hypnotist Giusto Durante begin his mesmerizing act.
I don't make things appear and disappear. I am, let's say, a mentalist, one who can, with his mind, with the force of his will, dominate and hypnotize people.
Put your hands together and place them on your forehead, like this. Your hands are locking tighter.
The experiment succeeded. Many people's hands were stuck together.
One of those people is Giusto.
My fingers were stuck together like cement, hard in an instant.
But before the hypnotist can undo his trick,
Stop being so silly.
Giusto's father turns off the TV. Now Giusto has no idea how to separate his hands.
Giusto, what's wrong?
It was like I was dreaming because I could not imagine a thing like this could really happen to me.
Giusto, what's wrong? Giusto, what's wrong? What's wrong?
My mom didn't really believe what was going on, so she said stop joking around.
Marco, please come here. Okay.
Then they saw me crying and they understood it was real.
What are you doing? Just stop being so silly.
There was a bit of panic, pulling this way, pulling that way. They wanted to separate my hands, but they couldn't.
That's when they decide to take Giusto to the hospital. Giusto's father refuses to let the doctors operate. Remembering that his son was watching a hypnotist on TV, he demands that they track him down. The cops track him down in a Rome restaurant, 300 miles away.
I called the hospital in Palermo, and the doctor answered. He said, "Look, we have this little boy whose hands are stuck together. We're going to have to cut them apart with a scalpel." I said, "No, let's try something. Let's see if I can do it over the phone."
This is Giusto's only chance to avoid painful surgery.
Then they put me on the phone with Jucus. I remember well him saying that he was in front of me. Can you see me, Giusto?
I want you to relax and listen very carefully.
It is I who made your hands stick together.
Your hands will separate.
Don't look at anyone. Do you remember my face? And I said yes. I am here with you. Do you see me?
Listen to my voice. You will no longer hear outside noise. You will hear only my voice. I will count from the number 1 to 3, and on 3 your hands will separate.
1. Your hands are getting looser. 2. Your hands are separating. 3. Your hands are apart.
Separate them.
It worked!
I didn't believe it. I thought my hands would be stuck together for the rest of my life. Therefore, you can imagine how happy I was.
Quindi immagina un po' la mia felicità. Watch.
So is this story spellbindingly true? Or is it just a load of mumbo-jumbo? Find out at the end of the show. Mini-myth number 62, Napoleon's cough. In 1799, Napoleon Bonaparte's army was about to invade Syria. While discussing strategies for the invasion, one of Napoleon's aides asked what was to be done with the 2,000 Turkish prisoners they were holding. At that moment, Napoleon, who at the time was taken with a bad cough, muttered, "Massacrez tout" in French. My blasted cough in English. His aide thought he said "massacrez tout," meaning kill them all, and so hurried off to complete his orders, sentencing thousands of prisoners to death. So is this story true or just a sick joke? It's false. This is an old joke that was reportedly in a 1935 Ripley's Believe It or Not collection. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 amazing stories. You must separate the ghoulishly genuine from the heinous hoaxes. So far, you've seen the tale of Giusto Durante, the kid who got his hands stuck together by a TV hypnotist after his dad turned off the show halfway through. But is it true or false? We'll let you know at the end of the show. Now it's time for our next story. It's called Making the Grade. Portland, Oregon is the perfect place to turn on, tune in, and drop out. It's a haven for people who are taking time out from the rat race. Meet David McInerney. Born into money, things came easy for David, but when his laziness got the better of him, it all went horribly wrong. In October 1985, Yale freshman David is enjoying college life to the full.
I come from a lot of money. I didn't really have to worry about much because I had a trust fund, and I could access that trust fund as long as I maintained my grades. And so I was having a great time until I got my midterm grades. And they're not good. So I was in a bit of a jam because without those passing grades, I would lose access to my trust fund.
David tells his buddies about the bad news.
This one guy says, hey, there's this rule that says that if your roommate suffers some catastrophe, you, because of the stress, can get this GPA of 4.0. I went and it was true. I couldn't believe it.
David just needs something terrible to happen to his Spanish roommate, Mateus.
This guy, he was the exact reverse of me. He was there for different reasons than I was. I was there just to party. Well, Mateus was very driven, very motivated, very disciplined. He was on a full scholarship. This guy was so serious, man. Work ethic. He came from a pretty modest background, certainly not banking. He never partied with us. Every time we invited him out, he didn't want to. He was always in the library.
This tastes really good. You want some?
No, thank
Come on, one drink.
No, I already have a drink. Thank you very much.
This is bull. Okay, you come all this way to study and no fun? I just want one answer. Yes or no, you coming or not?
No, gracias.
So while Mateus keeps studying, David continues to party.
One chance with us.
He was there because he wanted to get a degree, get a job, and then maybe set up his own business.
Come on, a little money.
So David
will
offers
help
him
me.
some startup money, and in return, Mateus would fake his own death.
Here, you know, if I fail.
I thought Mateus would be perfect because he could go back to Spain, set up his business.
Come on, man. I need
But
some
Mateus
help.
plans
Come
to
on.
finish his Yale education. Then David makes him an offer he can't refuse.
$300,000. How about that? Yeah, $300,000. I'll read the check right now. And what do you say to that? Yeah?
And I couldn't believe it. Guy bought it. He bought it.
First, they must make the suicide seem plausible.
He starts looking depressed and acting depressed, and he's a brainiac anyway, so it fits.
Mateus mopes for a month, and then David prepares to fake the suicide.
And then Mateus would take some of his clothes and throw them in the river because the river could be used as a place where his body could disappear and they could never recover it.
Mateus finishes his suicide note, leaves everything behind, and heads back to Spain, $300,000 richer.
Daddy?
Time for David to play the concerned roommate.
I discover the suicide note, then call the police.
Everybody seems to fall for the scam, and the cops start to search.
And the police went to the river and discovered some of his clothes, but of course, no body.
It looks like David's plan is working flawlessly.
A few weeks later, in the mail arrived my grades. Voila, 4.0 GPA. And meanwhile, Mateus had left the country with the $300,000 that I gave him. I was surprised that we got away with it.
But 2 months later, disaster strikes.
And then the savings and loan scandal hits.
Dozens of banks go bust, like the one owned by David's family. His party days are over.
And my family loses everything. And my trust fund is gone.
Unable to afford his college fees, David drops out and has to work for a living.
One day I'm, trying to get by, and I open up the newspaper, and I see this seminar, A Path to Wealth. And it's Mateus. I mean, he's changed his name, but it's the same guy.
$300,000.
Mateus had used David's cash to set up a cell phone company. Now he was a motivational speaker and a millionaire.
Couldn't believe it.
So is this campus con for real, or have we flunked a truth test? Find out at the end of the show. Mini-myth number 2600, electric chair. 28-year-old Michael Anderson Godwin is convicted of murder in 1983 and is given the death sentence. He spends years in a South Carolina jail, waiting for the electric chair before an appeal finally commutes his sentence to life in prison. After 6 years, in 1989, Michael attempts to repair earphones attached to the cell's television. Seated on a steel toilet, he chomps down on some wires and is fatally electrocuted. Does this shocking story prove that TV is bad for you? It's true. The metal toilet grounded the electric current and let it flow through Godwin's body. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 astounding stories. Your task is to figure out which ones are totally truthful and which ones are deviously dishonest. So far, you've seen the tale of Giusto Durante, the kid who got his hands stuck together after watching a hypnotist on TV. And the story of David McInerney, the guy who faked his roommate's suicide to get a perfect GPA, only to lose his trust fund in a banking crash. But do either of these stories ring true? We'll let you know at the end of the show. Now it's time for our final story. This one's called Taste of the Good Life. Rome, Italy is a city with a long and rich tradition of culture, and modern-day Romans know how to appreciate the finer things in life. Meet food critic Giuseppe Cantorino.
I'm a blogger. I write about food, wine, anything in the gourmet industry.
But Giuseppe reviewed one restaurant that left a very bad taste in his mouth. On July 6, 2007, Giuseppe's having lunch at a new trattoria in town.
Allora?
Marcello was the sommelier, and Cristina was the chef.
Giuseppe's verdict spells success or failure for their restaurant.
Buonissimi. Grazie.
It was marvelous. The atmosphere, the food, the wine, it was exquisite. I knew instantly that they were going to get the best rating I've ever given anyone. I became a regular. I would tell as many people as I could about it. I was never disappointed, not once. And I began to pester them a little bit. I wanted to know, what is your secret?
After weeks of hectoring, Marcello lets him in on a secret. Nine months earlier, Marcello and Cristina took over an old restaurant in the heart of Rome. Down in the basement, the previous owners have left what they thought was just junk.
Look at this.
But it doesn't look like trash to Marcello.
And they see a huge oak cask covered in dust.
Cristina,
Sì.
this is full.
What?
The barrel has a distinctive crest.
And they recognize the mark as a mark of an exquisite brandy.
It's brandy.
So they run, they get two sifters, and they draw out some.
Com'è buono.
That's fantastic.
They were so thrilled. And they knew now that they had stumbled on a treasure.
They come up with a brilliant idea to make their food stand out from the crowd. Cristina adds a little drop of brandy to her signature dish, making it a mouth-watering treat. However, the plan works too well, and the constant plundering eventually drains the cask. Now, they fear their business will run dry as well.
Well, I said, well, you know, this doesn't need to be a bad thing, I said.
Here's an idea.
Giuseppe has a plan. On the trattoria's upcoming one-year anniversary, host a party where they break up the old cask and use the pieces to flavor new barrels of brandy.
Salute. Salute.
Along came the night of the anniversary.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to say thank you very much.
Everyone was there. The press was there, customers.
Grazie a tutti.
Everything was going beautifully until Marcello started to break up the cask.
Marcello would live to regret opening the cask in public.
It was something that none of us could have even imagined. And of course, the press had a field day. It was an absolute nightmare. That was it for me. My reputation was finished. No one wanted to listen to anything I was going to say ever again about anything related to food.
So did you swallow this story, or did it leave a bad taste in your mouth? You don't have to wait too much longer to find out. Mini-myth number 427, death by candy. In 1983, young Robert Sutcliffe is at a friend's party when he is dared to eat 5 packs of fizzling candy, followed by 3 cans of soda. Not one to turn down a challenge, Robbie downs the candy and then chugs the pop. Seconds later, Robbie collapses. The candy and pop have mixed in his stomach, creating a huge volume of carbon dioxide. Robbie's stomach bursts under the pressure, killing him instantly. As a result, the fizzling candy is taken off the market. So is this tummy trauma tale true? Or is it a myth that needs exploding? It's false. Death by fizzling candy is a favorite urban legend. However, the makers of the candy in question did suspend production for 2 years in 1983. Now it's time to reveal the truth about our 3 stories. First up, it's a tale of Giusto Durante, the kid who got his hands stuck together by a TV hypnotist and then had to track down the performer to undo the spell. But is it true or false?
My name is Giusto Durante. I'm 29 years old, and this is a true story.
Giusto's situation wasn't unique. The hands of so many viewers remained interlocked that Giucas went back on TV to undo his spell a second time. After that, Giucas was banned from the show.
And for 3 years, I didn't do anything. I couldn't do television, I couldn't do hypnosis.
Next, it's a story of David McInerney, the student who got a perfect GPA by faking his roommate's suicide, only to lose his trust fund and discover his roommate had become a millionaire. But did this story make the grade?
This story is false. Everything I've told you never happened.
This myth first became campus folklore in the 1970s. It's featured in 2 movies, CSI New York and Law and Order, but there's no such thing as good grades for grief. Which leaves the story of Marcello and Cristina Rufino, the couple who used an ancient barrel of brandy to give their menu a distinctive flavor, only to discover that the cask also contained a corpse. But is it true or false?
I am not Giuseppe Cantorino, and this story is false.
The oldest version of this legend dates from the 13th century and has Egyptian tomb raiders unknowingly eating honey from a barrel containing a child's body. That's the end of our episode called Immaculate Deceptions. Did you spot the tasteless truth, or were you fooled by the false fables? However you fared, you'll get another chance to separate fact from fiction in the next installment of Urban Legends.